Bone-crushing legends, top 10 hardest-hitting NFL players. Welcome back, football fans. Today, we're diving into the most ruthless hitters to ever step on the field. Their physicality changed games and made them legends. Let's get into it. Number 1. Dick Night Train Lane. Dick Night Train Lane was one of the most feared defensive backs in NFL history, playing with an unmatched level of aggression. His signature move? The infamous clothesline tackle, a brutal hit where he'd fling his arm across an opponent's neck, sending them crashing to the ground. His tackles were so vicious that the NFL eventually banned the move. But Lane wasn't just a punishing hitter. He was also an elite ball hawk, holding the record for most interceptions in a single season. His physicality set the standard for cornerbacks, showing that defensive backs could be just as dominant as linebackers. Receivers feared going up against him because they knew they weren't just getting tackled, they were getting leveled. His combination of coverage skills and devastating hits made him one of the most dangerous defenders of all time. Number 2, Dick Butkus. When you think of ferocious linebackers, Dick Butkus is the first name that comes to mind. He was a human wrecking ball in the middle of the field, delivering some of the most violent hits the NFL has ever seen. Opposing players often talked about how they feared going up against him because every hit he delivered was like a car crash. Butkus had an unrelenting pursuit of the football, and when he made contact, it wasn't just to tackle, it was to punish. His brutal tackling style set the tone for an entire era of defensive football. Offensive linemen, running backs, and quarterbacks alike had to account for where Butkus was at all times because one hit from him could end a player's day. His sheer power and aggression made him one of the most feared players in history. Number 3, Jack Tatum. Jack Tatum, also known as the Assassin, was one of the most feared safeties the game has ever seen. His ferocious hits turned receivers into hesitant targets, making them think twice before running routes across the middle. Tatum wasn't just aggressive, he was downright lethal with his tackling. His most infamous hit came in a preseason game when his tackle left an opposing player paralyzed for life, changing the conversation around player safety forever. He never apologized for his physicality, believing his job was to strike fear into opponents. His bone-crushing hits often resulted in fumbles, broken plays, and shaken confidence. His ability to set the tone for an entire defense made him a cornerstone of the Raiders' legendary toughness. Even today, his reputation as one of the hardest hitters in history remains untouched. Number 4, Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins played with an energy and intensity that was unmatched. He was more than just a great tackler. He was an emotional leader who fired up his team with every devastating hit. Dawkins had a rare ability to combine speed, power, and precision, making him one of the most complete safeties in NFL history. Whether he was blitzing off the edge or laying out receivers, he brought the same relentless aggression to every play. His nickname, Weapon X, reflected his near-superhuman ability to destroy offenses. Dawkins' explosive hits often dislodged the ball, creating game-changing turnovers. His leadership and physical dominance helped define an era of hard-hitting, fearless defense. Opposing quarterbacks knew they had to keep track of where he was at all times, or they'd pay the price with a devastating collision. Number 5, James Harrison. Few players in NFL history have embodied pure physicality like James Harrison. The Steelers linebacker was known for his unbelievable strength, using his compact frame to generate some of the most powerful hits in the league. Whether he was rushing the passer or chasing down ball carriers, he delivered punishing blows that left opponents stunned. His hits were so vicious that he was frequently fined by the league, but that never stopped him from playing his brand of football. Harrison's most famous moment came in Super Bowl 43, when he returned an interception 100 yards for a touchdown while bulldozing through would-be tacklers. His work ethic and relentless aggression made him a nightmare for offensive players. He never took a play off, and when he hit harder than anyone else on the field. Loving these bone-crushing hits? If you're a true football fan, don't just watch. Hit that subscribe button like these legends hit their opponents. Stay locked in for more hard-hitting NFL content that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Number 6, Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott was the ultimate enforcer in the secondary. He loved contact and was never afraid to launch himself at full speed to take down an opponent. His hits were so powerful that he once chose to amputate part of his finger rather than miss a game due to injury. That toughness translated onto the field, where he became one of the most feared safeties of all time. Quarterbacks avoided throwing in his direction, and receivers knew they'd pay a painful price if they caught the ball near him. Lott's intensity made him the heart and soul of a dominant 49ers defense, helping them win multiple Super Bowls. His combination of elite football IQ, fearlessness, and punishing hits earned him a reputation as one of the hardest hitters to ever play the game. Number 7. Steve Atwater. Steve Atwater was a towering force in the Denver Broncos secondary, delivering some of the most memorable hits in NFL history. One of his most famous moments came when he flattened 260-pound running back Christian Okoye, proving that size didn't matter when it came to his tackling ability. Atwater played with no fear, launching himself at full speed to take down opponents. His hard-hitting style helped the Broncos secure 2 Super Bowl victories, and his presence alone made receivers second-guess their decisions. Atwater's balance of raw power and discipline made him an elite safety and a nightmare for offenses. His ability to make game-changing tackles earned him respect across the league, and his legacy as one of the hardest hitters ever is cemented in NFL history. Number 8. Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor was a once-in-a-generation talent whose physicality was off the charts. His devastating hits made him one of the most feared safeties of his era. His famous Pro Bowl hit on a punter showed that he played every down at full speed, whether it was a preseason game or the playoffs. Taylor's size, speed, and instincts allowed him to deliver knockout hits on ball carriers and receivers alike. He was just beginning to cement his legacy when his life was tragically cut short, but in his short career, he became one of the hardest-hitting safeties ever. Number 9. John Lynch. A leader and enforcer, John Lynch was known for his ability to deliver game-changing hits. As a safety, he had the perfect mix of intelligence, toughness, and physicality. His hits weren't just hard, they were strategically devastating, often forcing fumbles or knocking the wind out of receivers. Lynch's tackling was textbook, making him one of the most feared players of his era. Quarterbacks and wide receivers had to account for his presence at all times. His leadership on defense helped turn multiple teams into contenders. Even in retirement, Lynch's reputation as a heavy hitter remains untouchable. Number 10. Ryan Clark. Though often underrated, Ryan Clark was one of the hardest-hitting safeties of his time. His physicality and aggressive play style made him a key enforcer on dominant defenses. Clark's hits were clean but devastating, often sending ball carriers straight to the ground. He had a natural instinct for reading plays and positioning himself for maximum impact. His ability to shut down running lanes and disrupt passing attacks made him a valuable asset to his teams. Clark played with passion and heart, delivering crushing tackles every game. His hard-hitting reputation made opponents respect his presence on the field. That's it for today's breakdown of the hardest-hitting legends in NFL history. These players left an unforgettable mark on the game, showing us what it truly means to be a force on the field. Which hit impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep the intensity high, and always remember, football is more than just a game. It's a battle where every hit can change the course of history.